So the circuit we're building today is going to be used as a tuner for violin players. And so we're interested in the frequency at 440 hertz. And so the goal of the circuit is we have an LED here, which is going to light up with a frequency starting at around 200 hertz or 100 hertz, and then it's going to turn off once the target frequency, which is 440 hertz, is passed, and that's how the violin player will know that they have tuned their violin. So first we're going to do a demonstration at 440 hertz to see that the LED actually lights up. I have to position my phone. There we go. It's very sensitive to movement, but if we keep it still, you can see that the LED is lighting up. Then we can run a frequency sweep from about 20 hertz till 800 hertz, and we'll see how it turns on and then turns off. Wait, actually I'm gonna use the other one to see that it's actually in the right place. So we're gonna do the frequency sweep. (200 hertz), 480 hertz, and it turned off. And 800 hertz. So that's how we could tune our violin. So now I'm gonna explain the structure of the circuit. So to start off, we have our microphone, and this first part is just a circuit that we obtained from the data sheet of the microphone. And then we have a high-pass filter to take out the noise that the microphone picks up. And that's the reason why we have two capacitors in parallel rather than having an equivalent capacitance of 50 microfarads. Is just because they're different parts of the sub-circuit of the circuit. So we have a high-pass filter to get rid of the noise, and it's a passive filter. Then we have an amplifier because the signal here is about 50 millivolts. So we have to amplify it, and we're using a gain of 120 in absolute value. Actually, it's minus 120 just because it's an inverting amplifier. And then we move on to a bandpass filter that is composed of two passive filters. The first one is a low-pass filter with a cutoff frequency of 470 hertz. We're using these two resistor values just because they're the ones we could find at the lab, but ideally we would have an equivalent resistance. Then we're cascading the high-pass filter using a buffer, which is just a voltage follower that is a non-inverting operational amplifier with a gain of 1. And we're just using that so that the first phase doesn't load the second phase of the bandpass filter. And so the high-pass filter has a cutoff frequency of 340 hertz. And the reason why we chose these cutoff frequencies is so that the peak frequency, that is the one that has the maximum gain in the bandpass, will be around 440 hertz. Then we have a comparator, and this will take in the signal, and if the value is greater than 2.7 volts, which is our reference voltage, then the signal will go through. Otherwise, it will be a negative voltage, and this is useful because we were only interested in lighting up the LED when the signal has high enough amplitude. And so finally, if the signal makes it through the comparator, it means that it's a positive signal, and it's going to light up the LED. We actually added a resistor after the LED in our circuit, but that's just to regulate the brightness of the LED. And here you can see our circuit. So finally, we used waveform to check the wave at 440 hertz after each of the subcircuits. So this is the waveform after the microphone. So you can see it's very tiny. This is the waveform after the first amplifier and the high pass filter. So we got rid of some of the noise, and it's saturated, but that's okay because it's actually helpful to light up our LED. This is the signal after the low pass filter, which is the first stage of the band pass filter. And this is the signal after the high pass filter, so we can see it went through smoothly, and it's amplified from the amplifier we had before. This is the signal after the comparator, so we can see that it lights up corresponding to the peaks of the ideally sinusoidal signal that went through. And yeah, and finally that will get the LED to light up at 440 hertz.